BlackRock just dumped $2.6 billion worth of Bitcoin over the past 6 weeks, which is the most amount of outflows since the IBIT launched. That's $859 million in a single week. And right now, around the same time, a $90 billion hedge fund manager went on national television and said he doesn't know what to think about Bitcoin anymore. That kind of sounds like all of us. He says that it might be irrelevant, that it's basically a cult. But that guy also said that he wakes up at 3 in the morning wondering why he didn't buy more. Does that sound like any of us in the room? So here's the real question, and I want you to really think about it. Is this one guy having a moment of doubt, or is this Wall Street at large telling us something about how they actually see Bitcoin's future? Because while the ETFs were bleeding, something else was happening on-chain, something that has never happened before in the history of this asset. And one of those two signals is telling the truth about where Bitcoin goes next. Welcome back to Satoshi. Let's get into it. Before we start, as always, I want you to smash the like button, share the show with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell and let's get into it. I'm about to give you the full picture. Bitcoin is at 58K. Here I am once again. It's really painful being part of 58K gang because it's just... I'm not even going to get into it. The NASDAQ is up 68% year to date. SpaceX just went public. AI IPOs are lined up behind it. Capital is rotating out of Bitcoin and chasing everything that feels new and exciting right now. Just like your ex-husband. And the ETF data reflects that exactly. BlackRock's IBIT, the Bitcoin ETF that was supposed to represent institutional adoption finally arriving, just posted the $2.6 billion in outflows this month, the single largest monthly outflow since it launched. 6 consecutive weeks of net selling, $859 million gone in 1 week alone. That's not a blip. I fear it's a trend. It's not just BlackRock either. Bitcoin ETFs broadly are seeing their 6th straight week of outflows. The same institutions that CNBC was celebrating as the proof that Bitcoin had gone mainstream are quietly reducing exposure. Into that backdrop, Philippe Lafont, CEO of Coatue Management, $90 billion under management, goes on CNBC and says this.
I don't know what to think about Bitcoin anymore. The one thing I was wondering with Bitcoin is there was a time when there were very few IPOs. Part of it is I think the public markets are a little bit broken with so many index funds and stuff. Everybody thinks the same, thus nobody really wants, new IPOs. I wonder if Bitcoin was a little bit sort of the off-ramp for everybody that wants to have something a little bit more speculative.
Yeah.
Now that we have these big IPOs on one side, and then we have stablecoin on the other, and stablecoin involves the word stable. So if you really want to just put your money offshore, put your money in a new system, you can go through stablecoins. Frankly, stablecoins more or less are already paying interest. I don't think they really are, but there's schemes where you get these like rewards and stuff like that. So if you want just the stablecoin, you can. There's fabulous IPOs coming out. There's SpaceX, there's going to be some AI. And I just wonder, where is Bitcoin now? And the purpose of Bitcoin, and a little bit what you need to believe, is almost this maximalist view about Bitcoin. Like when I speak to people about Bitcoin, it's a bit like a cult. You're either in or you're not. So that's just my new thoughts on Bitcoin. So I'm a little bit more worried, and I would rather bet on, is space going to quadruple over the next 20 years? Or these intelligence models going to be, like if you think today the market cap of the world is 70 trillion, of the US, 60 to 70, let's say maybe it's 130, 140. In 10 years, it could be, let's say, 200 plus. Is there going to be a $10 trillion company in 10 to 15 years? I find that debate and trying to figure out which of those companies might be a $10 trillion company sort of easier for me than figuring out where's Bitcoin going to be in 10 years.
He also said he used to wake up at 3 a.m. wondering why he hadn't bought more Bitcoin. And now he's not sure that it matters. So let me ask you the question directly. Is this one man having a moment of doubt on TV, or is it actually Wall Street that's telling you exactly how they feel about Bitcoin's future? It might be a little bit of both, and I think that is the most bullish signal of the year. I'll tell you why. Here's where it gets interesting, because while BlackRock was selling, the on-chain data was telling a completely different story. Long-term Bitcoin holders, people who have held through 2018, through 2022, through the FTX collapse, and every moment someone on TV declared it dead, just reached 83% of all circulating supply, an all-time record, actually. And that number is climbing fastest as the price falls. So who's on the other side of BlackRock's $2.6 billion in selling? The people who never left. The 1 to 3 month holders, the ones who bought at the 2024-2025 top, are nearly completely wiped out. They're selling, obviously. I don't understand why, but they're selling. And every Bitcoin they throw at the market is getting absorbed by the wallets that have been sitting quietly, accumulating through every bear market that Bitcoin has ever seen, which isn't a coincidence. It's a mechanism. It's part of the Bitcoin ethos and what it means to be a Bitcoiner. Wall Street came in through the ETF door. They bought the narrative. They helped push the prices to all-time highs. And now, with SpaceX going public, AI IPOs queuing up, something shinier, presumably around every corner, they're rotating out. And in doing so, they're handing Bitcoin back to the people that actually understand what they're holding. Nico and I have been talking about this to enough of our family members that I can nearly recite it. Every cycle, the tourists leave, and every cycle, they sell to whoever stayed. And that's just what it is. What's different this time is the scale and the speed and maybe even the volatility, although I think that Bitcoin has been this volatile before because the ETF created a new category of tourist, one that could get in and out faster than before. They got in, they got out, and Bitcoin, it seems, didn't go anywhere. But here's what I keep coming back to. If long-term holders are accumulating at all-time record highs, are they actually holding their own keys? Because accumulating Bitcoin means nothing if it's sitting on an exchange. You own an IOU, not Bitcoin. The Bitcoin way is who I send friends and family to when they're ready to get serious about self-custody. Your personal Bitcoin IT team, self-custody training, cybersecurity, Plan B residency, over 20 years of expertise. They simplify the whole thing so that you stay in complete control of your stack. Book a free 30-minute consultation at thebitcoinway.com/simply. Tell them Satoshi sent you. Now, I want to take Philippe Lafont's argument seriously for just a moment, because it's not stupid. His point is still that Bitcoin used to fill a specific gap, one where people wanted something outside of the system, something speculative, something with asymmetric upside. But now, he says stablecoins give you the outside the system piece without the volatility. But you and I know, as Bitcoiners, that is not true. And SpaceX and AI IPOs give you the outsized return piece. So in his mind, and in the mind of a lot of traditional investors, what is Bitcoin actually for? What I think is he's reasoning correctly, but from the wrong premise. Stablecoins are dollars, a more convenient dollar, if you will. If you believe that the dollar is sound and the system managing it is trustworthy, great. Then you're kind of living in a fairy tale. But stablecoins are built on a foundation that is actively being eroded, unfortunately. Although they have helped so many underdeveloped countries, it is still not the standard of perfection that Bitcoin raises money to be. Apple raised prices on their entire product line this week, not because of greed, but because the purchasing power of the dollar continues to shrink. And that's not my opinion. That's just what's been happening on a year-to-year basis. And SpaceX, genuinely an exceptional company. Not here to say otherwise, but SpaceX is still still an asset denominated in dollars. Elon Musk cannot give you a fixed supply. He can't guarantee that the monetary policy won't dilute the value of your returns over a decade, but Bitcoin can. The Nasdaq is up 68% this year. Bitcoin is down 29%. And yet long-term holders are buying more because they're not comparing Bitcoin to SpaceX. They're comparing Bitcoin to the system that SpaceX operates inside of. One of those has a supply cap of 21 million, and the other is run by the same people printing money and acting surprised when the rent doubles. Now, here's where I need you to zoom out. The 4-year cycle in Bitcoin is the one thesis that hasn't completely broken. Every other indicator has had exceptions, asterisks on asterisks. I can't say that word, but you know what I'm saying. The 4-year cycle keeps showing up, and if it holds, the bottom lands somewhere in Q3 or Q4 of this year. This bear market feels uniquely brutal for a specific reason. We never got the euphoric blow off top. The 2025 peak happened on apathy. Nobody threw a party. Well, there was a party. There was the 100K party from Michael Saylor that we attended, but that is not my point. No magazine covers. We hit the high, and then it just faded. So the delusionment that usually follows a euphoric peak, we're experiencing it without ever getting the actual euphoria. That is compressing the pain, and it's making people question whether the cycle is still real at all. But here's the signal that I keep coming back to. This is the first cycle where I've seen people who've been in Bitcoin since 2016 and 2017, not the newcomers, not the speculators, serious long-term believers start to quietly ask whether it's over. When those people start asking that question, I honestly, against what you might think, get more convinced, not less, because the only people left after the shakeout will be the ones who genuinely understand what they're holding, and they will make up the market, not the people who are coming in and out. And that has historically been the exact moment Bitcoin does what everyone who just sold said it couldn't. And if you're in this because you understand why sound money matters, not for a number go up, but because you've done the math on what happens to every other asset in an era of persistent inflation, this is the moment to keep stacking. Bitcoin Well makes that simple. No IOUs, 50,000 plus users, publicly traded in Canada, daily recurring buys, and right now, 3 chances to win 1 million sats just by using the link bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc. And if you watch this show, you know what we're about. Freedom of speech, moving Bitcoin forward, owning your own money, and not asking permission. The Rumble wallet is built exactly for that. They just launched their new wallet, and setup is simple. Head over to wallet.rumble.com/simply and use code simply10 to get $10 for free today. Self-sovereign, self-custody, and it supports the platform and creators who actually stand for something. So go grab your $10 at wallet.rumble.com/simply. Code simply10. So here's the most honest thing I can tell you. I have bills to pay. I have a family to support. These are real stakes. And when Bitcoin drops, I genuinely feel it, like all of you. And I'm still stacking sats, not because I'm completely reckless. I might be a little insane, but not reckless, but because I watched my generation get priced out of housing. I watched the government print money and act surprised when rent doubled. And I watched Bitcoin sit here at 58K, the same price as peak 2021 euphoria, while everything around it got more expensive in dollar terms. Philippe Lafont wakes up at 3 a.m. wondering why he didn't buy more Bitcoin for a reason. And frankly, I don't want to have that problem. The question is whether you will 2 years from now. Something that Nico said the other day has been stuck in my head. He said the only people who make it through a bear market like this are the Bitcoin fundamentalists, not the people who came for the gains, but the people who are here because they believe that money is broken and Bitcoin can fix it. I believe that. I believe it every time I see Apple increase its prices. I believe it every time I go to a grocery store, every time the government spends money and goes to war and it doesn't have to explain it to us like we're children. Every time my friends tell me they wish they would have bought more Bitcoin and wish that they had acted on what they already knew. You're not too late. You're right on time. Stay humble, stack sats. Thanks for watching Simply Bitcoin Satoshi. Don't forget to smash the like button, share the show with your friends, drop a comment below because I read them all. Follow me on X at InternetSophie. And if you love this show, please help us out by subscribing to our channel. As always, stack, slay, and stay bullish, baby.